Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm going to end this series with this video on soft power, and especially in leadership for women. And today we're going to tackle a nuanced topic. And I'm going to tell you, I get asked about this all the time in my coaching practice. It's like, Denise, when do I use soft power versus when to use more direct approaches in my leadership? And here's what I typically tell them. I usually tell them this all the time. Effective leadership isn't about choosing one over the other and sticking to it rigidly. It's about embracing both, having range and discernment on when to use them. And that's what I want to go into today. So let me start by clarifying what we mean by soft power and hard power in leadership context. Soft power, as I discussed in a previous video, is leadership that you have through attraction, influence, persuasion. It's getting others to want what you want through inspiration, relationships, shared values. And hard power, on the other hand, I think most of you do understand this, it relies more on positioning, authority, clear direction. Not bad things, just it's a little bit more forward facing. It's about more direct means, giving instructions, setting boundaries, making unilateral decisions when necessary. The most effective leaders don't see these two things as opposing approaches. They see them as different tools in their toolkit, each appropriate for specific situations. So let's look at that. When is soft power particularly effective? First off, soft power excels when you're driving cultural change or innovation, let's say. These are areas where compliance isn't enough. You need genuine buy-in and enthusiasm. Secondly, soft power is crucial when working across differences, whether that's departments, organizations, or cultural backgrounds. Where you don't have direct authority, soft power is key here. And then third, soft power is used for complex challenges where diverse perspectives and creative in thinking are really needed and wanted because the command and control approaches tend to begin to shut people down and you don't get the creativity that you need with that. And then finally, soft power is incredibly valuable for those long-term initiatives that require sustained commitment beyond direct oversight. That you've got to have soft power in. So I'll give you an example. With a client of mine, Mia was leading a major that's where it's critical. Let me share a client example. Sarah was leading a major digital transformation in her company. I wish I could talk. And while she could have mandated the change because her position was CTO, she knew that that approach would create compliance, hopefully, it definitely would not create compliance with commitment, and commitment was what she needed. So what she did instead was she created a compelling vision and invested in that. She identified the early adopters across departments. She facilitated cross-functional working groups, and she created safe spaces for people to express concern, contribute ideas. Her result? It not only was transformation implemented more smoothly than anticipated, it's that the team ended up developing innovation she never would have thought about just by herself. It created the true transformation that she wanted and needed with that initiative. Now, let's talk about those more direct approaches that can be called for. First, it's in crisis situations that require clear, decisive leadership when time is of the essence and the stakes are high. Lengthy consultations are not necessarily where you want to go. You want to be clear, decisive, lay it all out for them. Second, when you're addressing non-negotiable standards. I mean, think about it, guys. There are certain non-negotiables out there like safety protocols, ethical boundaries, legal requirements. You got to be firm. You got to have clarity. You have to say it directly. That's it. It's like there's no room for wiggling within that one. And then third, when you're dealing with performance issues, those persistent performance issues, where feedback and support have not created the change that you've wanted, you have to have more directive approaches. Those are absolutely necessary. And then lastly, when team members are new or inexperienced or lack confidence, they actually need and really want more direct guidance until they get their feet under their ground. They have more capabilities than they did before. And I'll tell you about Sarah again. This was her, a client of mine, not her real name, as we all know. She was known for her collaborative leadership style, yet she discovered an ethical breach in her department. Nobody wants that. And she had to shift into a more direct mode. She conducted a swift investigation. She made the tough decisions about the consequences, and she clearly communicated the standards going forward. Now, her team that was involved in all of this, they didn't see this as inconsistency with her values. In fact, they respected her more for demonstrating that her commitment to integrity had teeth to it. That's what you want. You see, the real mastery behind this comes from not choosing one approach over another. It comes from integrating them thoughtfully, marrying the two together. And I want to give you 4 ways for you to do that effectively. Principles, I guess you could say. First, you need to lead with clarity about your values, your intentions. Doesn't matter if you're using soft or hard power approaches, people need to trust that you're acting in a consistent manner, that your principles are staying true to you. And then second, you want to match your approach to the specific context and needs, not to your personal comfort zone. Yeah, it'd be easy just to fall into what feels natural for us, and yet the situation may call for you to be more direct, if that's it, or more supportive, if that's it. Third, you want to develop your range. I mean, here's the thing, you got to practice what that range is. So if you tend to be more collaborative through what you deal with and how you're doing it, you want to practice being more direct and decisive. And if you're the opposite of that, if you're naturally authoritative, you want to then look to the softer side of things to build and develop your skills in influence and coalition building. And finally, and I think this is the most important thing, you want to communicate why, the why behind your approach. When people understand your reasoning, guys, they're more likely to trust your leadership, even if your style changes from soft to hard. You got to tell them your why. And I do want to go to the here. It's about the elephant in the room, and that's that painfully gendered expectations that women as leaders have to navigate. And this just makes me crazy because women receive 2.5 times the negative feedback men do when using identical direct leadership approaches, according to research that was published in the Harvard Business Review. I mean, think about that. Men do it this way, women try to do it that way, and they are not accepted by that. They get 2.5 times more negative feedback when they do that. Is it fair? Hell no, it's not. Is it reality? Yeah, unfortunately it is. And we can't pretend that these dynamics don't exist. That's not going to help you in the least. So what can we do about it? And I want to share with you some strategies that I've seen work with some of my clients, those high achieving clients that I have. First, takes a little more time, but you got to strategically build relationships and bank credibility before you need to exercise that direct authority. When people genuinely trust your intentions and value your contribution, they're 38% more likely to accept direct leadership when the situation demands it. Second, you want to frame directness in terms of collective commitments or team needs rather than personal authority, such as this. to deliver what we promise to the client instead of saying something like, I need you to. You're bringing it back to that collective commitment or team need. That simple reframing reduces negative perception of women's directness by 27%. And that's according to Catalyst research that's been said. So third, very, very important, is you got to hold your boundaries, guys. You got to have unwavering boundaries about what matters while staying flexible in your approach. Studies show that leaders who maintain consistent standards while adapting their methods to individuals, their teams have a 41% higher psychological safety. You want them to feel safe. So hold your boundaries. They understand your boundaries. You've communicated those clearly. And last but not least, and this one may be a little controversial, is to be ruthlessly selective about environments and sponsors that value you, your full leadership range. Not all organizational cultures, punish women for being equal about directness. Life's too short. Your talent is too precious. You don't want to waste it in environments that are designed to crush your spirit. So find those places worthy of your brilliance. Don't be afraid to step out of one and into something else. So here's what I want you to take away from all of this is the mark of an extraordinary leader isn't consistency of style. It's consistency of impact. And sometimes that impact comes through inspiration and influence, and sometimes it comes through clarity and direction. The goal is not to fit yourself into a leadership box labeled soft power or hard power. The goal is to be effective without betraying yourself in the process, using both, being adequate and expert at both of those. Look, I've worked with enough brilliant women to know that the greatest barrier to leadership isn't external, it's the exhausting internal battle between who you truly are and who you think you need to be to succeed. The battle ends when you embrace your full range of leadership approaches without apology. I mean, the day is clear, guys. Leaders who can flex across the influence spectrum outperform one-dimensional leaders by 53% on complex challenges. It's not about being nice, it's about being effective. So I'd love to hear your experiences navigating the spectrum. Put it in the comments below. What have you shifted or what has happened to you when you shifted your approach to meet a leadership challenge? And if you're tired of leadership advice that doesn't account for real world dynamics that you as a brilliant woman face, check out my trauma-informed coaching programs. It'll be in the link below. Because you deserve strategies that work in actual organizations, not just in leadership theory. So until next time, guys, remember, true leadership power comes not from position. It comes through presence. And that presence is already within you, waiting and wanting to be fully expressed. So stay brilliant, stay unapologetic, and above all, stay true to yourself. I'll see you next time.